All right, welcome to another Beats and Chill Presents. I'm your host, Hometown. I got a special guest today, Mr. Randy OJEDA. What's going on?
What's going on, hometown? You know, chilling, kicking it here in our on Armenia.
For sure. We've been trying to connect for a minute.
Yeah,
Finally got a chance to connect.
Oh, it's been a while.
Right. I think the last time we even had a conversation like this was Tampa Beat Weekend last year.
Yeah, no, that was
So,
a good time.
That was cool. So, now just in a different space, and I thought it was important to have you on the platform, man, because I just wanted to chop it up with you and also get a chance for our audience to kind of get more in depth with just like who you are and like what's been going on, man. So
yeah, I've been watching all the Beats and Chill interviews on YouTube, you know, so I'm excited to be part of it, you know.
Tight. So, we're here. What's new with you?
Man, doing a whole lot. Just started a new management company actually called Florida Maverick Artist Management with Tom DeGeorge and Louis Geiler from Discord Theory. You know, I'm doing the legal, you know, so you know, not running like the day-to-day management stuff like I used to with my last management company. So it's nice, you know, it's nice to have a little bit of a team and, you know, some like-minded folks to be working with, you know. So doing that, and then of course, you know, Randy Ojeda Law all day, every day, you know, making deals, negotiating contracts, and, you know, making sure artists are, you know, protected and covered and doing, you know, what they're supposed to be doing. So.
Got you. Okay, cool. So with the new management company, is that, like I said, it's based off of artist management in Florida?
Yeah, it's just right now it's all Tampa artists. So,
got you.
Mostly on the rock side, but I know like Tom, you know, wants to add some rap and some hip hop and some other genres in there too. So
got you.
You know, it'll be a growing thing. It's really ambitious. You know, Tom's like looking past you know, the past Crowbar. You know, because you know he keeps saying Crowbar is after the next lease, Crowbar's done. You know, so
that's gonna be wild, man.
It is. It's gonna be a very different. Ebor's changing rapidly, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's getting harder to put together events too, with just the amount of venues that don't really have the capacity or the essentials to run a just, you know, successful event.
Exactly.
So that's just a challenging task in itself. But yeah, I know Tom can definitely be very energetic and ambitious.
Yeah.
And
he's
very
he's
passionate.
the man. He's very passionate for sure. For sure. And he really cares about independent artists.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of his work with the National Independent Venue Association, NIVA, you know, and Detour, and like he's just got so many ventures, you know, that when he hit me up and said, "Hey, I'm starting a management company," I was, "Say less, man. I got you."
Got you. Tight. So how have you been, like, I guess, navigating in like Tampa as far as with entertainment law? Like, how has that been working with artists in Tampa, or do you have clients that are just, you know, a mix of in Tampa or in Florida and outside of Florida?
Yeah, it's like 50-50. You know, I have like half my clients are in Tampa and in Florida, and then the other half are all over the country. You know, so but just, you know, I always want to put on for Tampa, and I want to I want to find artists that are taking it seriously and really want to elevate themselves to that kind of national platform. You know,
Gotcha.
So. There's a lot of great artists in Tampa, a lot of amazing producers too, engineers. We got a bunch of great studios. So like the infrastructure's starting to build.
Yeah.
You know, it just takes time. You know?
How was like your experience with the infrastructure in the process of it building, right? Do you find yourself kind of being just having to educate more, or?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of education involved. You know, there's a lot of artists that are putting out great stuff, but they're not really sure like what to do with it exactly, you know, or how to make sure that they're getting all their royalties, that they're protecting their music, that, you know, they're taking all the steps that you need to take to run the business side accordingly.
Right.
You know, so there is a lot of education in that. You know, there's a lot of explanation involved, you know.
Got you. And I also just wanted to say, like, with that, because for me, as someone who started as an artist, right, that was, you knew about it, you do your Googles and how to release an album, and, you know, the certain people that you need to work with and whatnot.
The checklists.
Get the lawyer, this, that, and the third. And it's like, man, how do you go about that? Like, some people's like, I don't even know the first step into getting a lawyer for anything else, let alone an entertainment lawyer. So it's like, how would that, if you were to, you know, give advice to an artist who, you know, just maybe finished their project or whatever, and they want to, how do they go about that? Like, how do they come across?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're watching this or you're listening to this, obviously hit me up, you know. So reach out to me, you know, because there really aren't a lot of entertainment lawyers,
Right.
Especially not entertainment lawyers in Tampa or entertainment lawyers in Florida, you know. So, you know, finding the right person is key because, you know, you'll get a lot of people who like they do, you know, traffic accidents and divorces and stuff, and then they're like, oh, well, I like music, so I'll help you with the music stuff, you know. But the music is such a different world, and it's so, you know, unique, and you really have to dive in and specialize it, you know. That's why I feel like I got like multiple educations, you know, like I got my legal education where I learned the law, you know, and then I learned how to read contracts, and you know, that's like a whole nother language. But then I had to learn music, which was like a whole separate world in and of itself, you know. And I wasn't really doing law for a while. I was just doing music management and A&R and, you know, working with record labels and doing all that and kind of learning the business. You know, then I went back to law and realized like I can bridge these two worlds together, you know, but it really took years, like literally years of learning the music business, learning the industry, making the right connections, you know, like that's what it's all about, you know. It's the same thing like if you know, you get in trouble for something and you hire a criminal lawyer, you want a criminal lawyer that knows the judges and knows the state attorney and knows, you know, how to maneuver that system. It's the same thing with music. Like you want a lawyer that knows the industry, knows the key players, you know, knows how to maneuver within the industry. It's, you know, find yourself a music lawyer. You know, it's not just about, you know, going down the list and hitting up Morgan and Morgan or whatever. You know, that's not gonna work out for you. You know?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Try to put an album out, you call Morgan and Morgan.
Crazy. Yeah, I've seen crazier things. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When it comes to clients, right, and like you said, a lot of artists now, you know, they may have like a manager, their homeboy is their manager, or their mom or uncle, whoever, right? Do you find yourself like, do you feel like artists should not worry so much about management before and maybe just, you know, just communicating with a lawyer, like, or like, how do you feel about that whole ordeal?
Well, there's two kinds of managers, right? So like there's like your industry manager, somebody that's experienced, has been doing it for a while. You know, that's one type of manager. But also having your homeboy or your friend be your manager or your mom or whoever, like that can be valuable because nobody's gonna bleed for you the way your friends and your family are gonna bleed for you, you know? So that could be good, but that's even more reason why if your manager is inexperienced, you know, like maybe they're willing to work really hard for you, but they don't know exactly how to, you know, use that energy. That's even more important to get a music lawyer or somebody that knows the business on your team as well, you know. But I think managers are super important because, you know, they obviously fill a role that nobody else can, and they're like the Swiss Army knife of your team, you know, like they're doing a little bit of label stuff. They're doing a little bit of, you know, they're doing management. They're doing some booking. They're doing everything. You know, like managers are the new labels in these days. You know, so it's super important to have a good manager. But it doesn't necessarily need to be somebody experienced.
Right.
You know, it just needs to be somebody that's willing to put in the time and the effort and believes in what you're doing. You know.
Right. And how do you, also, this is a term that I've heard within the most recent years that some people are saying are probably like one of the go-to people you need to have on your team. They say CTO, Chief Technology Officer, someone who can stay up to date with, you know, the ever-changing industry with technology and music, right? As that is a growing thing. How we've seen it incubate into like streaming and NFTs and other avenues, right? Because of that, is like just music and technology is always ever changing. How do you find that as a challenge as a lawyer with working with artists and whatnot?
Yeah, no, it can definitely be a challenge, and it's something where myself I'm having to constantly keep up with these changing things and these landscapes. And now AI is the new frontier, you know. So it's like how does AI affect you know, all the creative process, and you know, what's the legality behind using AI to make a video, or using AI to complete your song or finish your beat or whatever. It's like, you know, it's complicated though, because there's not really like a set law about it yet. You know, it's like everybody's still kind of figuring that out. So, you know, having somebody on your team that knows the technology side can be very, very valuable.
Is that, are you kind of like, are you excited with how AI is kind of, you know, kind of changing up a lot of stuff, or is it like, ugh? Like, are you like,
no, I got mixed feelings on it. I think people are kind of using it the wrong way now. Like, I don't like, you know, I don't want an AI like Eminem or 50 Cent verse. You know, like I don't want that. But like, you know, I've seen people in the studio use like AI technology to like, you know, take a song and strip out all the vocals and the drums and just leave the bass line, you know, and the AI processes that audio and just gives you, you know, spits out a part. So for sampling and production, like I see like, you know, tons of opportunities for AI. It's just, you know, I think people are limited by like, oh, we're gonna do an AI, you know, AI 50 Cent verse or whatever. It's like, that's kind of leaving some opportunity on the table, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more that you can do with AI than just
for sure
that. You know?
Having Squidward sing "Snooze" by Scissors.
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't need any more of that, you know.
Right.
But if you can use it creatively as a way to enhance your production and enhance your beats, you know, I think that's super cool.
What about like ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
Like you have platforms like that some people will have it write up a contract.
Yeah, that scares me, man. You know, like that scares me because, you know, I know that there was a lawyer recently who used ChatGPT in his court argument. Like he had ChatGPT basically create his legal argument, and they cited to all these cases that weren't real cases. You know, and like they cited case law that wasn't acceptable case law. You know, and he got disciplined for that because, you know, you got to check your AI. You know what I'm saying? So I think ChatGPT could be a good starting point to get you like kind of an idea of what you're looking for. But especially with contracts, like you need to have that looked over by an actual person. You know, that's why like I don't mess with like, you know, people always ask me for a template. It's like, okay, yeah, I could send you a template, but it's what goes on in between the templates that's important. You know, so.
And how soon, like, because I remember you posted something in regards to like a band agreement, and you were saying like, hey, you know, bands break up, like who gets the equipment, who takes this, or who has the name, or
who owns
whatever,
the name,
right?
who owns the songs, you know.
Like from point A to point B, like how soon should someone comes like with an agreement conversation? Because it's like a lot of times, most cases, things are just based off of just interest and passion flowing. And like, oh yeah, we should do this, we should do that. We can do this, or you know, we come up with a name, or just start making music off rip, just like right. And then it's like for that one, no one wants to be that one person that's like, hey guys, we got to put contracts.
Right.
You know
Nobody likes to be that person, but somebody needs to be that person. You know what I mean? Like it's so important. Anytime you're collaborating with anybody, I think you should have an agreement. Even if it's like, you know, you put in text, hey man, you know, let's do this verse, or let's do this track, we'll split it 50-50. Like at least if you got a text or something, you know, you at least have a verbal agreement. You know, it's better to have a real contract, but you know, at least have the terms kind of spelled out somewhere, you know, written. You know what I mean? I think anytime you're collaborating with somebody, you should have an agreement, whether that be, you know, a featured artist or a producer or actually forming a band or something. You know, like you should always have some kind of deal in place. You know, so even if it's not cool to be the guy that's like, hey, we need a contract, somebody's got to be that guy. You know?
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
I've never been that guy.
You never been that guy?
I've never been that guy.
Sometimes you got to be that guy, you know?
It's like, hey, I know we're having an amazing time right now, but contracts. Let's
And sometimes, you know, like artists will invite me to the studio and I'll sit in the studio sessions and I'll be that guy. You know, like I will, you know, I will be the one to put pause on everything and say, hey, let's get something in writing, you know? Like if I got to fill that role, I'll fill that role, you know?
How are you usually nervous when you?
Nah. I mean, at this point,
come on, bro.
This is what I do. Like, I went to school for this. You know, like I've dedicated my life to music law. You know, so if I can make sure that artists are taking the right steps and making the right moves within that, I'm gonna do it. You know?
I can just imagine you just being in a studio session with a bunch of rappers, and it's like, all right, guys, so this is what I have here. There's like, bro, you fucking up the vibe, bro. Like, bro, like you really throwing me off right now. Bro.
Yeah. It's true. And I'm not here to mess up the vibes. You know, I'm all about vibes. You know, but you know, there's a proper way to do things too. You know.
Got you.
So.
I wanted to ask, because one of the things that I've been really big into is like watching artists take innovative approaches with the music, with how they go about doing live shows, how they assign like ownership or distribution of their music. So like some of those artists to me are like that I pay attention to are like the early days of like Nipsey Hussle, when he, you know, would drop a mixtape and it'd be like $1,000 tier for this, that, and the third, or like even more current with like a Lil Russell, who has this thing where he does like, he'll give like streaming splits to whoever works on anything. If you made the logo or you did the cover art, he's doing all these different splits.
That's cool.
Have you ever encountered any type of like clients that have, you know, wanted to venture into like some type of innovative pathway that maybe is kind of like outside of the norm?
Yeah.
And how do you approach that?
No, I think that's very smart for like the new music industry, you know, or like the way the industry is heading, you know, to reward, you know, if you will, or to compensate not just your collaborators, but people working behind the scenes or people working on, you know, artwork or whatever it is. I think that's a super cool approach, you know, and I've had artists, you know, talk to me about how they, you know, they have somebody who's like not really their manager, but he helps out and he wants, you know, you want to break off a little bit for them. So like I get that, and I think that's a smart way to do it, because, you know, as you said, like a lot of times like people are coming in with that sweat equity, and they're working hard and they're passionate and they're doing what they're doing, and there might not be like a dollar amount available for them. There might not be that budget available for them, but, you know, if you can get, you know, give them points on the back end or whatever, I think that's a super smart way to keep people interested, keep people involved, and keep your team strong, you know.
Gotcha.
So, and I think that's definitely an approach a lot of artists need to take, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was one way. Like I used to manage IDK, and he had like his group was the Holy Tribe, you know, HXLY, you know, and he, you know, there was videographers on the team, and there were photographers, and there were art people, and everybody was getting, you know, kind of equity within the company, as opposed to just like, hey, I'm gonna break you off, you know, a couple $100 for this. It's like, no, like you're part of the team, you're building something, you know. So I think that's a super cool way to do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And in regards to like IDK, like how did that all come about? Because I know you told me before, like, you guys went to school together?
No, I met him on Twitter. You know, and I was in the power of Twitter, you know, power of X, you know. but I was in law school at the time, and you know, I knew I was friends with like Pat the manager, who was Chance the Rapper's manager, and you know, that kind of crew. I was living in Chicago, that's where I went to law school, so I knew a lot of people in that scene, and you know, I was just kind of on the lookout for, you know, an up and coming artist who I could work with, because I felt like my skill set and my, you know, training and background was perfect for working with artists. You know, I just at the time I didn't really know what that meant. You know, I didn't really know. So I met IDK, I met Jay on Twitter, and you know, we started talking, and next thing I know, I'm like flying to DC to like meet him, and you know, we're working together, and you know, that just kind of came out organically, you know, and then you know, we worked together for a few years, and then you know, he landed like some strong deals and got some cool stuff in place, and then you know, just kind of mutually parted ways. Like he needed more of a hands-on manager, somebody that could like go with him places and be there, and I was more of like, I'm more of a behind-the-scenes guy, like, and that's where, you know, my legal role kind of came up, because it was like, you know, I'd rather be, you know, doing the contracts and doing, you know, doing the deals, you know, from afar, as opposed to like being on the road and being,
Right.
you know, in the trench. You know, I like that. I like being in the trenches, you know, but it's a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't what I wanted to do at that time. I wanted to, you know, I wanted to take more of a step back and be more of the business guy, you know.
Gotcha.
So,
And and with that, is that something that like you've just seen more? You kind of took more of a stride in. You've kind of been able to, you know, assess more clients and just work
yeah,
better for them in that.
exactly. I can service a lot more people this way than, you know, when I was just doing management. It's like, you know, management entails so much besides just the business. It's like, you know, I mean, you know how it goes. It's like the, you know, it's all the personal stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like you're not only a manager, but you're like the therapist, and you know, you're the best friend, and you're everything. You know,
Financial advisor.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah, all
exactly. So, you know, it just took me some time, like making, you know, having these different situations to figure out, like, okay, what's exactly the thing that I'm good at? What's exactly my skill set? And you know, it ended up just being being a music lawyer. You know,
Gotcha.
being able to advise and, you know, counsel and work on deals. But I think what's cool about me is that because I have that background as an artist manager and the other hats that I've worn in the industry, you know, I'm able to help strategize in a way that like a lot of music lawyers don't have that experience or that background. You know, like they just went straight from law school into doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of made a detour into all these other ventures, and now
Gotcha.
I'm coming back and doing my thing, you know.
Got you.
So
That's cool, man.
yeah.
I think and I see that you keep a playlist. You
I
keep
do.
a playlist, you promote a playlist.
I
man.
do. My dream is like, if I could do anything, I would run like the biggest playlist in the world. You know, it's like I love playlists, and I love curating music, and I love like sharing music with other people. So, you know, my big playlist now is called Recommended by Randy Ojeda Law. You know, and it's mostly clients, but it's also just like friends in the industry.
Gotcha.
You know, people that I know and like and respect, and you know, it's genreless, so it's got, you know, all sorts. It's got like heavy metal, it's got rap, it's got punk, it's got indie, it's got everything, you know. But it's all people that I, you know, literally recommend.
Right.
You know, that I'm like, hey, if you're, I basically wanted to answer the question of people ask me all the time, like, hey, what should I be listening to, or what should I check out right now? This playlist is what you should check out.
Okay.
You know.
Is that why is that part of the reason why you wanted to make sure it was branded under your firm?
Exactly, yeah. Because again, it is mostly clients. You know?
Gotcha.
So I want to, you know, and I realize that a lot of law firms aren't doing that. Like they're not promoting their artists.
Exactly,
They're not promoting the people they work with. And I get that, because, you know, sometimes people come to you with some sensitive stuff. So it's like, you know, you don't always want to be like, oh yeah, I helped this guy get fucked. He was getting fucked over and I helped him out. You know, I don't want to point like that. But at the same time, like, you know, if your lawyer's not promoting you, like what's going on, you know?
And I think also too that helps with like, because like I said, as someone who's never really had that experience of working with a lawyer, my mindset is just like guys in suits, super serious. I have to make sure that I'm organized to even communicate or even to go about it. So sometimes it becomes overwhelming. And I think that, you know, at least from how you are on social media, with how you also promote some of your clients with the playlist and whatnot, it just kind of gives it a more personable feel and touch, to where it seems like it makes it feel like it's an approachable firm or person.
And it should be, man. Like,
Right.
I appreciate
That's why I feel like it should be.
You know,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And I appreciate you saying that, because I work really hard to, you know, to make sure people know that I am approachable, and that, you know.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing, I don't know how long I'm going to do it for, so if you're listening to this, take advantage of this, but I'm doing free consultations for artists. They're just like a quick 15 minutes, like, let's talk, you know, you can meet me, you can ask some questions, and see if we can build a relationship from there, you know. So I'm offering that. You know, you can go on my Instagram and book a consultation straight from the link in bio.
Right.
You know, so I'm always trying to do stuff like that, where I can meet artists and go into shows and actually connecting, as opposed to just being like this faceless attorney.
Gotcha.
That, you know.
Well, let's speak on the consultation, because I know that work, and sometimes people feel like, man, what should I? They want to just try to give as much as they possibly can in that, and just be like, all right, what can you do, right? So it's like, what are some tips or advice you would give to someone preparing for a consultation with you?
I would say, have all your just have some questions ready. I mean, whatever it is that you're struggling with or confused about in the industry, like figure out what that is and come prepared with that. But beyond that, like don't prepare too much. Like let's see where the conversation goes, and I'll ask questions as well, and I'll get you to a point where we figure out like, okay, these are the next steps you need to take.
Gotcha.
Like I think some of the best consultations I've done are ones where I went in totally blind. The artist came in blind and just said like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Where can I go from here?
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
But
I just know that, I know for me sometimes, even when I see consultations with other like mediums, it's like, all right, how much do I need to make sure that I provide so I get the most out of this, so I can make the best decision?
Yeah, absolutely. It's more, for me, at least these free consultations, they're only 15 minutes. So it's more about like, let's just chop it up a little bit. Let's get to know each other, see if, I'm the right fit for what you need, if you need what I need, what I'm saying?
Got you.
But yeah. Yeah, and then back to the playlist too. I totally forgot to mention, I also run a playlist called the Tampa Mixtape.
Yes.
Which I'm sure you know about. You got some tracks on there. And the Tampa Mixtape is specifically for Tampa hip hop. So it's all Tampa hip hop. I only do one song per artist, so it's not like, I don't have like 50 Pusha Preem songs, as much as I'd love to put on a bunch of Pusha Preem, or a bunch of GAT singles or whatever. I got one GAT song, I got one Pusha Preem song, I got one song from every artist, so everybody's kind of on an equal footing. And
Gotcha.
Once you shuffle the playlist, you have an equal chance of getting, whoever's new track.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I run the Tampa Mixtape too, and that's been a lot of fun to just focus solely on Tampa. And and St. Pete too, but
Gotcha.
Tampa hip hop, and it's kind of kept me, it's kept me involved in like what's going on in the scene, and I try to keep an eye out on who's releasing new music and who's putting stuff out, and who's working, because there's a lot of rappers out there who they claim that they're rappers, but I don't see them releasing any music, so it's like it's like, can you what are you doing?
Right. I feel that.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been doing the Tampa Mixtape for a while now too, and if you want to submit to that, you can send me a DM and just send me your tracks. Excuse me. The Tampa Mixtape has its own Instagram too, so you can reach out on the Tampa Mixtape Instagram and just to share your music with me. I'd love to hear whatever you got going on.
Have you looked into maybe like or plan to curate any events?
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm actually, outside of Tampa, I'm working on an event at South by Southwest this year.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm doing an official showcase. I can't speak too much on it yet because I'm still working on the lineup and the specifics. But yeah, I'm trying to do more events, more industry events. But I'd love to do some more stuff here in Tampa. I'd love to do a Tampa mixtape show.
Gotcha.
and put on some of my favorite artists from the area, and I'd love to do a Radio Hate a Law showcase and put on for some of my clients too.
Gotcha.
So it's just tough. I mean, you know how it is with events.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Absolutely.
a lot of logistics involved. There's a lot to plan, and and there's a lot of people in the scene doing really good events that I'm like, let them do their thing for now.
Right.
But yeah, if I had the opportunity and if I found a good situation, I would definitely do some more events here in the area.
Okay.
For sure.
Got you. I want to ask this in regards to like when it comes to clients, right? Is there ever any clients where you have to be able to check like yourself in case of like any personal interests that you may have? Like, oh man, you may have a client where maybe one client's music you just like more than maybe another client's. I know that can possibly, to me, I could understand if that's like, man, what if he takes more of a passion in working with this client than working with me. Do you find that challenging at all?
So I'm actually unique from a lot of lawyers in the sense that like, just because you have money to pay me doesn't mean I'm going to take you on as a client. Like I literally will only.
Yeah,
I know.
What you got? We're working.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, I want to work with artists that I actually like. So I mean, that's why I have this playlist. That's why I put on for the artists that I work with, because, you know, I legitimately like their music.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, I wouldn't, you know, like, yes, I could take their money, and yes, I could do this contract for them, but it just wouldn't, you know, it doesn't feel right unless I'm interested in what it is, you know. And it's rare to hear a lawyer say something like that, because most lawyers are like, you know, if you got the money, I'll work with you. But that's not how I do it. Like, you know, I the way I look at it is I'm co-signing you by working with you. You know, I'm representing myself within the industry, and, you know, if you're doing a deal with, you know, a big company, like, that reflects on me too, and, you know, I'm gonna do more deals with those same companies. So I don't want to bring you bullshit. You know, I'm not gonna like bring you, you know, I'm not going to bring something to the table or bring a deal to the table if it's garbage, you know.
Got you. Understood.
So I got to believe in the music, you know.
Got you.
That's step one. If I don't like the music, sorry, man. There's another lawyer out there for you, you know.
It's tough. So when you you know, I guess when you do like the music or the opportunity to, I guess, listen, is it just more so you have them send you music, or do you kind of like, is it in that consultation? It's like, all right, I have a consultation, kind of send me some links to send the third, and then
yeah. When you sign up for the consultation, one of the first questions that's asked of you when you're scheduling is, please include your music links. You know, and I try to listen to the music before every consultation just to get an idea. You know, and then I also want to be clear too that, you know, not everybody's thing is my thing, so I don't. It's not just like a subjective thing, but I also like want to make sure that the music is quality.
Right.
So, you know, even if it's not my favorite style or my favorite thing, if you're doing something of quality like that, that's enough for me to take interest. You know.
Gotcha.
So, you know, sometimes I have to rely on other people to tell me like, oh, yo, this guy's like, you know, especially with like electronic music or like EDM. Like, I don't listen to EDM, but like if somebody tells me like this is a really good artist, like they're you know, doing the thing and the music is well put together and well produced, you know, I'll be in for that. You know?
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah.
As far as like, I guess, like I say, you've had rapper clients or singer clients, DJs, producers.
Yeah.
Out of those type of clients, like what do you feel has been like some of the easiest to work with?
The easiest? Oh, it's never easy, man. It's never easy to work with. But, you know, I love working with producers, just because I feel like producers don't have anybody in their corner a lot of times, and their producers are the first ones to get screwed over.
Gotcha.
You know, so I like being there to like have a producer's back and make sure that, you know, it's crazy. Like producers are the only, you know, people in the industry who just like don't get paid sometimes just cause.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the artist is getting money, the label's getting money, the manager's getting money, everybody's getting money, but the producer's getting nothing. They're getting points, you know, but then nobody's following up to make sure you're getting paid on those points. Nobody's following up to make sure the song's registered, to make sure the sound exchange LOD is in, to make sure, you know, you're taking all these steps to actually get money, you know. So it's not easy working with producers, but I like working with producers because there's so much opportunity there, and you know, there's so many, you know, producers are able to make so much music, you know, that more so than what an artist is able to make. That, like, you know, you could have you know, a couple hundred placements and, you know, might not be seeing any money from that. You know, so you need a lawyer to come in and be like, oh, yo, you know, he's owed this much, he's owed that much, you know, that you're doing all these producer agreements for a reason, supposedly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I definitely love working with producers, but you know, I like working with artists too, and you know, bands. But none of it's easy, I'll tell you that.
Gotcha.
You know?
I wanted to speaking of producers, so like I've recently listened to this podcast called the Blog Era Podcast.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the music from that era is being like reaching like their 10-year anniversaries.
Yeah, which makes me feel so old. I feel like I kind of came up in the blog era, you know. So.
So a lot of the 10-year, 20-year anniversaries of like some of like this music, or a lot of that music which was never up for like sale because of like impossible sample clearances and things of that nature, right? But now that we're seeing these things approach like streaming, being released on streaming and stuff like that, what's changed? Like, has there been like changing the rule book? Like, what's going on?
No, not really changing the rule book. I think it's just people are getting smart to it. You know, people like are realizing like the people that, you know, the original artists that created the samples are realizing like, hey, my song can have a second life, you know, or you know, my sample, you know, if they use the sample that can, you know, that can propel what I'm doing because, you know, it's all about finding like new and innovative ways to exploit your catalog.
Right.
You know, um, like I was talking with the guys from the band Fastball. You know that band? They did that song. Was I out of my head? Was I out of my mind?
Okay, yeah.
You know, and that got sampled by like Machine Gun Kelly, um, and you know that song came out in the '90s, and now it's like still like, you know, I just sang it, and you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about probably because you heard them, you know, you heard new versions of it,
Right.
you know. Elton John's another one where he's doing tracks with Dua Lipa and Miley Cyrus and stuff, you know, and Britney Spears because, you know, he's able to find new ways to get his catalog out to a younger audience. So I think, you know, a lot of these blog era tracks, like, you know, back in the day, like you know, like the Chitty Bang or whatever with like the kids, you know,
Yeah.
MGMT sample or whatever. It's like, you know, maybe back then they didn't want to clear that, but now it's like, it's been so long that like that's one way for you to redevelop and you know, re-engage an audience is just by
Gotcha.
having those samples. So I think, you know, it's just people are changing their opinions on.
Is there
on that.
anything different when it comes to like streaming royalties being paid out to them? Like, are they getting that like residually?
Yeah, I think that's that too. Like a lot of distributors are making it easier for you to you know, give points and percentages to different parties. So I think that definitely makes it easier too, you know. But yeah, probably.
What do you see? What do you see streaming go in the next like five years?
Oh, man, I don't know. I don't know because it's like it's weird, you know,
Yeah.
because people are, you know, people are streaming more than ever, but artists are making less and less money. So it's
Right.
like, you know, for a while I thought Bandcamp was going to be the future, you know, but now I don't know what's going on with Bandcamp, like internally.
Yeah,
And,
I seen
you know,
they did like a deal and then they had like a huge layoff too.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, but that's where I thought the industry would go is where like, yeah, like I will, you know, and this is how I personally consume music. Like I stream a lot, but the stuff that I like, I actually go and buy, you know, whether it's a
Right.
cassette or a CD or a vinyl or whatever,
Right.
like I'll actually buy it, you know.
Gotcha.
And I may never listen to the vinyl. Like the vinyl
Yeah.
might just sit on my shelf, you know, whatever, but I feel like I'm supporting the artist and
Right.
I'm owning a piece of the art that I like, you know. So I think there's going to be a pushback on streaming. I think like
Yeah.
people are always going to, like, now the cat's out of the bag, so people are always going to stream. But I would just hope that people would also take that extra step to buy the record or to see the artist live or to buy a T-shirt, you know, or whatever it is. And maybe that'll be on Bandcamp, maybe that'll be on the artist's individual platforms, you know. And that's one thing I tell artists all the time too. Like, don't be scared to put out your merch and your products like on your own website. You know? Like, 'cause people will buy that. You know, you know, there's a lot more avenues to make money than just streaming. You know, because if you're waiting for that streaming check to come in, you got a rude awakening, man. You know.
Yeah, I think everyone. I feel like everyone wants to venture into like sync licensing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason it always feels like it just feels like a club. It's like, all right, once you're in, it's great, but it's like, it takes a lot to get into that, right?
Yeah.
It takes the connections, relationships, you know, right place, right time, the music, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Just a lot of different moving parts but once you're in, it's like, all right, cool. You're someone that, you know, we've all heard, you know, some of the same like 3 to 5 records be utilizing like multiple movie trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, is that something, like, how is that, how have you seen that as you know, with clients? Like, is that something you've ever seen like your clients push for?
Yeah, no. I mean, sync is one of the best ways to make money in the industry now because, you know, like I said, people aren't buying music as much, but companies are buying music,
Right.
you know, because they need it for their commercials or the movie or whatever TV
Right.
show, you know. And now that like the Hollywood strike is over, like now we're going to start seeing more, you know, productions start to pick back up. So I'd imagine that world will pick up as well. but yeah, that's something I try to help artists with a lot. And, one of the best tips that I can give an artist is, if you're trying to get into sync, you want to have definitely clean versions of your music, but you also want to have instrumental versions, because sometimes like they want to use the music and they want the beat and the feel, but they don't want to have all the rapping distracting from, the commercial about, Ford trucks or whatever it is.
Right.
And they have a voiceover on top of the music. So, you know, make it a point to when you're in the studio, you're working with the engineer, make sure they bounce out a fully mixed, instrumental version so that you can also submit that with your licensing,
Gotcha.
because that's going to be key. And I've seen a lot of people lose out on licensing opportunities because they didn't have an instrumental, or they didn't have a clean version, or whatever it is. So you want to have multiple versions just so to give the music supervisor an opportunity to use different sections of the track or whatever it is that they want to do.
Gotcha. Okay.
So definitely bounce out those instrumentals. That's super important.
For sure. One of the things I know that is intimidating when it comes to inquiring for a lawyer is like just not knowing like the jargon of certain things. Like you start hearing people say certain things, you're like, okay, I don't even know what you just said, right?
Yeah.
So like, what are some things or like books or whatever you could recommend artists before maybe approaching, like really seriously taking on like their career and wanting to, inquire for a lawyer? What are some things that they should probably look into?
The number one book, and if I ever teach a class or something, this will be the textbook for my class. It's All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. I think it's on its like 13th edition or something like that now, like he's constantly making new ones.
Gotcha.
And get the newest one because the newest one has a lot more about like streaming and stuff in it. But yeah, Donald Passman is a lawyer. He's also teaches at UCLA, I believe. And he's been writing this book that like, it was my music Bible when I started in management, 15 years ago or whatever. It's still my Bible now. It's like, he kind of lays out all the jargon and puts it in a very like easy to understand way. So I definitely recommend that. All You Need to Know About the Music Business, and it's truly all you need to know about the music business. Yeah, like it breaks everything down. And I'm biased because I'm a lawyer, and he talks a lot about how important lawyers are in the book. But he's not wrong. It's a great book. I definitely recommend that. And besides that, there's a lot of good like music industry podcasts and different places where you can read. Like there's Ari's Take. This guy Ari Herstand, who's a music manager. He's got a lot of really good works. A lot of good articles on. He compares like different distribution companies for you and like the pros and cons to them. And there's a lot of articles out there. Just I definitely recommend that Passman book. Like I said, if I ever taught a course, that would be the book. Yeah. And I love when people come up to me and because I bring this up in a lot of interviews, like read Passman, like all of my interns, everybody, I always tell them to get this book. And if they don't get the book, then I know they're not serious. You know what I mean? So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to just ask some questions, kind of get to know you a bit more. Like, all right, who's your favorite artist of all time?
Favorite artist of all time?
Yeah.
What are we talking specific genres or
regardless of genre?
Regardless of genre, Prince.
Prince? Okay.
Prince. Yeah, Prince is one of the first concerts I went to, and it just is just the breadth of music that he made in his lifetime was just unreal. Like I love Prince. My favorite like hip hop artist, your rap artist would be. Oh man, that's a tough question.
It's a tough one. You put it on yourself.
I know. Probably, yeah, I did. I did this to myself, but probably, it sucks because I want to say Kanye because Kanye like growing up has just like been such a big part of my musical life, but nowadays it's hard to, it's hard to put on for Kanye, but yeah, maybe Jay-Z too, just because I respect, everything Jay-Z's done like as a businessman and, as a you know, as an artist too. But some, you know, I'm into like some old school stuff like Bone Thugs and Harmony is one of my favorite groups, you know.
They rap too fast for me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't understand any of the words. I've been listening to the Crossroads for my whole life. Still have no idea. I know he's saying something about his Uncle Charles, and you know, but beyond that, I got nothing. You know, but I do love Bone Thugs. I've always loved them. You know, just yeah, I listen to a lot of stuff, man. I listen to a lot of different genres too. You know, not just rap and hip hop. So,
Gotcha.
you know.
What's the best concert you ever been to?
Best concert I've ever been to? Wow. That's a good question.
Is it good because there's been a lot of bad ones?
No. I've been to so many great concerts. Like there's a lot of good ones. You know, Prince was definitely one. The Rolling Stones was one of my favorite concerts. You know,
Yeah,
they're
some
like just
classics.
yeah, just like some big, you know, I like the big stadium shows.
Yeah.
You know, I like all the spectacles and stuff. But
Do you like to sit close, or do you like to get like what kind of seat do you like to get?
no, I like being kind of far. I want to see the whole thing.
You like to see the crowd?
Exactly.
As well?
I want to take it all in. You know. But yeah, some like smaller shows too. Like you know, I saw Action Bronson in Chicago.
Okay.
When I was living in Chicago, he performed at the Metro, and at the time, because of all the violence in the city, like Chicago, they had a curfew specifically for rap concerts, which I thought was messed up. It was like only rap concerts like had to be done by midnight, and so midnight comes, Action Bronson's in the middle of the song, and they cut his mic and they cut the music, and he just keeps going, and he rapped a cappella for like a good 30 minutes after curfew, you know,
Really?
like just kept going. The crowd was so into it, and that was like one of the best things I've ever seen. So shout out to Action Bronson.
Yeah.
I went to a lot of good shows in Chicago. This was like kind of during the blog era, you know, and it was like I saw like the ASAP Mob. It was ASAP Mob, Danny Brown, and Schoolboy Q was the lineup.
I think I know what show you're talking about.
That was a hell of a show, you know. Like just hearing, you know, blunt after blunt by Danny Brown with like 100 people around you all holding blunts in their hands was like, you know, it doesn't get any cooler than that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the cool like club shows and smaller shows definitely are favorites of mine, you know. I definitely like, you know, as much as I like the big stadium shows, I also really love the intimate, you know, club shows where you get to see an artist, you know, like really perform, you know.
Gotcha.
Because I think it's really hard to perform in a room of like 100 people or 150 people. I think that's harder than a stadium, you know, because you're looking people in the eyes, you know what I mean? Like people are right there in front of you, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite hip hop album?
Favorite hip hop album?
Or I'll say, you know what? Not favorite, because I feel like you're going to say Prince again.
No. Favorite hip hop album. Let's stick with this. Probably Black Star, Most Def and Talib Kweli. Yeah. Okay. I think I like, you know, I wore that record out. You know what I mean? Like it's, but yeah, definitely Black Star. I think that's my favorite album of all time, just from beginning to end.
What was the last hip hop album you listened to in full and enjoyed it?
Honestly, probably the Little Uzi Vert record that just came out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That one I was listening to. Yeah, that one's really good.
Gotcha.
Trying to think of others. There's been a lot of really good ones this year. You know, the Killer Mike album was really good.
Killer Mike was good.
Killer Mike album was really good. Yeah, I don't know. It's I try to listen to a lot of records in full when I can. You know, but
it's tough though.
It's tough. I end up just listening to singles and you know bits and pieces of records. But yeah, that Killer Mike album was really strong.
Have you ever stayed up to midnight for a release? Like
every single Friday, man. I'm a New Music Friday like believer. You know, I like literally last night I was up till midnight, wait for the new music to come out, and then you know, I don't always listen to it at midnight, but I like to like kind of, you know, start preparing my playlist for the next day so I can, get in the car and listen to everything and get to the office and listen to stuff,
Yeah.
So I'm all about it,
Remember when albums used to be released on Tuesday?
Yeah, and honestly, that was better, I think, for the industry because, Friday's tough, especially if you're an independent artist, because like nobody's working on the weekend. So it's like your album comes out on Friday, and then what do? You wait by Monday, it's old.
Right.
So Tuesday was kind of made more sense for independent artists, and I see a lot of artists kind of pushing back and releasing stuff on Tuesday or middle of the week, and I think that makes sense. Unless you're like Taylor Swift or Drake or somebody, then you can do new music.
Have you seen how fucking sales this past couple weeks?
Yeah,
vinyls.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
My wife got the vinyl at Target. She was like, the Target exclusive Taylor Swift vinyl.
It's crazy, man.
It was just at the register, so she got it. I get it.
It's like, wow.
So, yeah, Taylor Swift is she dominates the industry, man.
It's crazy.
So.
I know some people kind of getting like, oh, she's re-recording her music, but
yeah, and now that's an interesting point. Is now I'm seeing a lot of contracts where the labels are putting a clause in there where, I call it the Taylor Swift clause, where it's like you can't re-record your music for either X amount of years or forever, So she's kind of changing the industry in that sense. Like, I don't think anybody else is going to be able to do that.
Gotcha. What was the craziest thing you saw in the contract?
The craziest thing? Man, I don't want to name names, and I won't, but there's an artist locally who signed a deal with a label that they got their master rights, their publishing rights, their name, their likeness, all of it in perpetuity. Like, basically just signed over, like, here's my music career, take it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they didn't talk to a lawyer first. They came to me afterwards, and then once it's signed, there's only so much I can do,
Yeah.
So I've seen people give up a lot of rights that you didn't need to give up just because, the label came knocking and they got, jaded by the label contract.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I've heard like stories of like people saying, be careful of the lawyer that the label suggests to you,
Also true. Because, some labels, like, I'll be honest, like some labels don't like me because I push back on stuff and I fight for stuff for my clients. And, if I was super cool with the label, it's like I don't think I'd want to push back as much as I do because I don't want to hurt that relationship with the label. But, I'm for my client, so I want what's best for them, especially with the labels doing some shady stuff, But there's also, I don't want to talk bad about all labels either. Like, there's some good labels out there, and there's good people in the industry that are making fair deals. But you got to be careful.
Yeah. What's that P word you said? Perpetuity.
Perpetuity. Yeah.
You hear that word like, what the fuck is perpetuity?
Yeah.
And you look on the definition of that fucking word, you're like, that is a crazy fucking word. Don't ever use that word around.
Yeah. No. Any deals that have perpetuity in there, like, you really got to be careful what you're signing. Because perpetuity basically means like they have the rights forever. Like sometimes even after you die. Like you're dead and they still own the rights.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, be very careful with that word.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What was I guess one of your most like rewarding moments with a client?
Rewarding moments? There's a lot of times just seeing clients get like their first advance, especially producers too, like, even if you're only getting $500 for a song, but just like seeing them get that, and being like, this is the first check I've ever gotten for my music. Like, that's really rewarding for me, and hopefully those checks keep coming and hopefully they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Gotcha. But getting that first one for somebody is really something special, so, gotcha. And I definitely like anybody that's trusting me with their first real check. I feel like that's the building block of a good relationship,
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, that's really rewarding.
You say I heard you say you had interns. Yeah. So like, I just imagine like your firm is kind of like Suits on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's like you got a dude that don't know nothing about music, but he just like got the gift of gab.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No. I try to find people that are into music. Like my current intern now, she's an artist herself. She does she's like a metal. She does like black metal and death metal and stuff. And you know, she, you know, I like to find people that have some kind of music background. You know.
Gotcha.
But usually, if they're seeking me out for an internship, they have some kind of music interest. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, the firm's slowly growing. So like, you know, I'm going to be taking on some more like junior attorneys and stuff like that, and trying to grow what I'm doing too. You know,
Gotcha.
so be on the lookout for that in
Okay.
In 2024. You know.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Also, one last thing I want to ask is,
Yeah.
what is a YouTube channel you recommend, and I guess final advice for an independent artist?
Ooh. YouTube channel I recommend. I kind of make fun of him sometimes, but there's a guy named Rick Beato. He's
said Rick Biatch. I don't know what you're about to say.
Rick Beato. He's like a rock producer,
Okay.
and he breaks down songs. Like, you know, he'll like take the song and show you the drum part and the bass line, like big songs like Nirvana, Metallica, stuff like that. You know, and he kind of shows you like what the little intricate stuff that people are doing in songs, and you know the guitar part that's kind of off to the side that you don't really hear, but like he'll highlight that and show you like, you know, breakdowns, the bits and pieces of the songs, you know. So I definitely recommend his channel. Beats and Chill, one of my favorite channels. You know, I gotta recommend Beats and Chill.
Hey.
You know, yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I like seriously, like I'll be up till like 2 a.m. some nights watching Beats and Chill interviews. You know, while I'm working, and you know, it's a great channel. So
Appreciate
so definitely Beats and Chill. Colors is another good one. The Colors shows, they do a lot of really good like live performances and stuff, very very well shot, you know. So but yeah, I there's a lot of YouTube channels I dig. So
Cool.
yeah, Audio Tree is another one.
Audio Tree.
They do live performances. They're based out of Chicago. I've been in their studio a few times. I've had artists that I represent on their show. But yeah, Audio Tree is another really good one if you're looking for cool like underground you know, artists and bands and stuff. Like they know what they're doing, you know.
Cool.
And then advice for artists, like final tips for artists. You know, there's one thing that's been bugging me lately, and it's that you know, don't give up on your back catalog. You know, I see a lot of artists like once they release a new song, it's like all the old stuff is just completely forgotten.
Right.
But you know, it's like, you look at other brands and stuff like outside of music, like McDonald's doesn't stop promoting the Big Mac because it's old, you know, because they got a new sandwich. You know, they'll promote the new sandwich too, but you got to keep up with the old stuff. And if you have a song that, you know, you perform live and everybody loves it and the crowd goes crazy, you know, why aren't you putting ad dollars behind that? Why aren't you doing sponsored posts for that song? Because just because the song's 6 months old or a year old or whatever, like who cares?
Right.
You know, because it's going to be new to so many people.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my tip to artists is don't give up on your old music. Don't give up on your back catalog. Like, you know, your music's going to be new to somebody. So promote your best work, not just necessarily your newest work. That's my tip.
Cool. Well, that being said, man, I appreciate you for pulling up on me, man.
Oh, for sure, man. It's been a blast. I've been meaning to do this for a long time.
Thank you, man.
Anytime you want me back, I'll be here.
Got you, man. And that's a wrap. It's another Beats and Chill Presents. It's Hometown with Randy Ojeda. We out. Peace.